What's up, you guys? That's so interesting that the lighting just jumped like that. It was a whole lot yellow, a whole lot more yellow a second ago. Anywho, I'm here with sort of a book review, but not really. I'm following up my review to Where the Crawdads Sing. So I reviewed the book, I read the book. And then they released a movie. So I am here to talk about the movie, which is, if you didn't know, it's not in theaters anymore. It is finally on streaming services. It's on Netflix. I watched it. So this will have some spoilers in it. So if you haven't read the book, or if you haven't read the book, or you haven't seen the movie, and you don't want spoilers, log out, girl. But I have some thoughts about the movie. Number one, okay, so any book to movie situation type deal is normally watered down. Okay, right? Like, so yeah, they just normally are watered down. This one is no exception. But I feel like they made the poor cinematic choice of watering down the things that matter. And I really didn't like that. The whole movie. So like, if you've never read the book, you are going to enjoy it. It's watchable. It's on Netflix if you're already paying for your Netflix account, right? But the whole thing felt like, if you read the book, the whole thing felt watered down. So like, if I use Harry Potter as an example, yeah, there were some things that they skipped from Harry Potter, from, the book to the movie, but you still got the Harry Potter feel. Like, this is like the difference between having a Sprite and a lime LaCroix, okay? Like, this was just not as in depth as I would have liked for it to have been. And then I feel like they took significant things out and then added weird stuff. So like, the scene that I feel like they took a coward's way out with not including in the movie, in my opinion, you all know me, I am a very pro-Black woman. Like, I feel like throughout the book you get the feeling that Kaya would not have survived without jumping, right? And they kind of hint to that in the movie, or not kind of hint to that, they do show that, like, jumping helps her a lot. He like gets the social services off her case, they show that. They show Mabel giving him her clothes. But even like some of the deeper things that they could have showed with that, they shied away from, right? So like, when she got her cycle, they shied away from that, which is understandable, because for whatever reason, we as human beings just hate talking about menstrual cycles, girl, even though they're happening to people right now. We shied away from that. And then they shied away from Mabel giving her first bra. Like, I felt like those were significant things. But the most significant thing that I felt like they shied away from was when the kids were throwing rocks and like teasing jumping, and she observed it and didn't understand. Like, she didn't like, no one taught her those racial like idiosyncrasies of her time, and she didn't understand when she was a child why jumping wasn't correcting those children. He was just bowing down, or how it happened in the book. And they didn't even do a watered down version of that. They just chose not to include it, and that was some coward shit. I just feel like the viewer could have handled that. They could have included that, and it would have been really meaningful to include that, because I felt like that was such a significant thing for Kaya to be this poor white girl who wasn't really taught racism, right? She just knows that jumping and Mabel helped her to not understand in that moment what was happening. I mean, maybe they felt like they couldn't do it justice, but I don't know. I really feel like they shouldn't have shied away from that scene, because it was so important in the book. And They just decided they didn't want to do it. And then I do feel like, even though they did show how much jumping was helping her, I just feel like, yeah, I don't feel like they did his character justice at all, considering how much he did for Kaya. I did like who they cast for Kaya. I like who they cast for I like who they cast for Tate. And honestly, I like who they cast for Chase too. But with Chase, I felt like they spent, like, you got that his character was a douche, and you know that you got that he was using Kaya just to sleep with her, and you know he was obviously lying to poor Kaya, right? You understood that through the scenes, but the ending, they completely botched. Like, so in the book, right, she finds, in the book, she finds, like, or Tate, when she passes, finds where she has written poems for years and submitted them, and he finds the shell necklace, and then he finds a poem that she wrote where basically she is confessing to killing Chase Andrews. And I don't think they did it well. I feel like, so they show him reading it, the poem, and recognizing that she did kill Chase Andrews, and then they show him throwing the shell into the marsh, and then that was it. And I felt like that was such a cheap way out of doing that scene. Like, I feel like they really should have invested in the flashback. Like, when he found that shell and read that poem, they should have shown her getting on the bus, getting off the bus, speeding on her skip to push this man off this tower, and they should have showed her pushing him off the tower so that you could see how she planned to do that. They didn't address it at all. Like, and if you haven't read the book, you're just up to speculation on how does she do it. You know what I mean? I felt like it was the ending was so poorly done. Yeah, this is the LaCroix version of this book for sure. I mean, if you're paying for Netflix, it's definitely worth a watch, because I mean, what else is on Netflix really? But yeah, that's how I feel about that. Quite frankly, you can skip this particular movie if you haven't already paid for it in some sort of way, because they botched that ending, honey. They botched the ending, and they botched that significant scene with Jumpin' and her like coming to Jumpin's rescue, so to speak. Yep, so that's how I feel about that movie. On a 5-star scale, I would give it 2.5. Yep, it was a little disappointing, but you know, that's normally how it goes, right? Thanks, guys. Like and subscribe. Share with your friends. Tell me what you thought about the ending. I thought it could have been better. Okay, bye.